Since Speaker Householder's arrest several days ago, like all Ohioans and certainly members of the legislature, I've been thinking a lot about this and frankly kind of struggling to process everything. So I want to share some additional thoughts before we get started here this afternoon. To my friends in the Ohio House, it's very, very important, I believe, for you to be very engaged at this point in thinking about who the next speaker should be. Obviously, for a speaker to be elected, they have to have a majority of the votes. And I know that this is a process. So I would urge the members of the legislature to do what I know they're already doing, and that is to think about this, start talking among themselves, because it is clear, as I indicated yesterday, that Speaker Householder could no longer function as Speaker with this very, very serious charges from the U.S. Attorney's Office and from the FBI. So the people's business must be done. And so I'd urge my friends in the legislature to very vigorously look at that and try to move as quickly as they can. I want to also talk about nuclear energy policy in Ohio. As I stated yesterday, reasonable people can disagree about what that policy should be. I made it very clear, I've made it very clear for a long time that I think our energy policy in the state of Ohio must include nuclear energy. That the plants that are here, that are functioning, should continue to function. We have a lot of jobs, 1,500, I think, jobs at stake. But we also have, what's really also at stake is the ability of Ohio to maintain much carbon-free energy and cleaner energy. So I think the policy is clear to me, although I know that reasonable people can certainly disagree about that. However, it is also clear, as I think about this, that no matter how good this policy is, the process by which this bill was passed is simply not acceptable. That process, I believe, has forever tainted the bill and now the law itself. This policy, while the policy, in my opinion, is good, the process by which it was created stinks. It's terrible. It's not acceptable. Therefore, I believe the policy, this whole policy issue must be revisited by the General Assembly. I asked the legislature to repeal and replace House Bill 6 through a process, an open process that the public can have full confidence in. I believe that's important, that these two go hand in hand, so that the nuclear power plants can be preserved, those jobs can be preserved, the environmental benefits can be maintained. But the most important thing is that the public have confidence in the process. And it will forever be impossible for the public to have confidence in that policy, in those, what's happened, what we've passed, what the legislature passed, voted on, without revisiting it. And so I asked the legislature to revisit this. My preference certainly would be to revisit it, go through that normal process, and come back with an alternative. But this, again, is something that needs to happen in the open, and it needs to happen fairly quickly. In fact, very quickly.